Hey friends, Deacon King back for another video. This one will be about the Rosary. I think this image encapsulates Mary's power as our mother, as mother of the church, mother of all Christians, the help of Christians. That she helps us in our spiritual life, in our spiritual battle, our daily pursuit of her Son. And Mary has this unique role as our advocate because she had the unique role of bearing the eternal Son of the Father, that Mary is truly the mother of God, and so she has this influence with God because God called her to such a great relationship with Him. That Mary, Queen is heaven and earth, that's who she is right now, that she is our Queen in heaven right now with Jesus, the King of the universe. And so this image really is one to focus on, and for us all to consider this fifth mystery of the glorious mysteries, that image helps us to understand Mary's unique role and to see Mary as our mother and as our queen, as our advocate, as one we can run to. I think it's really important to have that basis and that understanding to then delve into Marian devotion and the devotion of the Rosary and the scapular. And it's not just about asking for Mary's intercession, that's incredibly important, but it's also about meditation, the meditation that accompanies that in praying the Rosary. That it helps us focus in on the simple message of the gospel. That if we consider the different mysteries of the Rosary, that they're really huge moments in the gospel for us to meditate upon. And they also show us the relationship of Christ and the Blessed Virgin. That the mysteries remind us of their connection, and we can see how Mary was so obedient to God's will in the joyful mysteries, and how she was there carrying her own cross, seeing her Son carry his cross. She was there in the sorrows, but then how there's such glory in the glorious mysteries, and how she received such a great reward by carrying her own cross, by suffering with her Son, and doing the Father's will at all times. And so, true meditation with the Rosary can be very powerful for us. That the Rosary sometimes can be downplayed and seen as not so important, or it can just be seen as this rogue praying of these prayers over and over and over every day, or multiple times a day. But if we really delve into the meditations and see the importance of these different mysteries chosen by Mary herself as the mysteries, the particular mysteries of the Rosary, then I think we can see the depth and the importance of praying this daily. There can be a real strength and a real peace that comes from this for every Christian soul that enters into the prayer. But there also has been other effects, other powerful effects. Pope Leo XIII explains that the Rosary was given to St. Dominic by the Blessed Virgin in the 13th century in order to fight the Albigensian heresy. This is a heresy that seemed so powerful that St. Dominic and the Dominicans couldn't take it on by themselves, and indeed they couldn't. We always need God's grace. But nowadays, there's very few Albigensians around, and so this heresy was really taken out, that people were converted back, and St. Dominic was successful. And so Pope Leo explains that the immense power of the Rosary is seen through this. He also says it's seen through the Battle of Lepanto, that Pope St. Pius V asked Christians all over the world to pray the Rosary for the success of the Battle of Lepanto against the Muslims who were trying to take over Europe. And the battle seemed as if the Christians weren't going to win. It was a sea battle, but towards the end of it, the winds changed, and that gave the Christians an advantage on the sea, and they ended up winning the battle. And so Pope Leo said this is another historical event that shows forth the power of the Rosary. So this ought to instill confidence in us all to understand how powerful the Rosary is. Pope Leo understood this very well. He wrote around 15 encyclical letters, papal documents on the Rosary. It was something very important to him, and he wanted to encourage the Christian faithful to pray the Rosary. And then not too long after the pontificate of Pope Leo, we have Our Lady of Fatima appearing and asking people to pray the Rosary daily. She encouraged reparation to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, reparation to her own Immaculate Heart, and she encouraged this to be done on first Saturdays by praying the Rosary, and then outside of praying the Rosary, meditating on a mystery or the mysteries of the Rosary for about 20 minutes, and also receiving Holy Communion and confession, all done with the intention of reparation to the Immaculate Heart. And then another great Marian devotion that's, I would argue, is equally important was given to St. Simon Stock. It's the scapular. It was given around that same time as the Rosary was given, the 13th century. This was given in England. And Mary promised the one who wears this brown wool cloth, called the scapular, would be preserved from hellfire. It is to go over the shoulders and the front and the back. And it's not to be seen as magic, but it's to be seen as something to be done with devotion. That it's not an automatic get out of heaven or get out of hell and go to heaven kind of free card, but it's something to be done that includes our heart and our mind, that it's a daily following of Christ. But if it's done with devotion, then indeed we should believe in this promise. That it's called a sacramental, and so the grace given by it depends on our own devotion. It's also just an outward sign of our Christian calling to follow Christ daily. And it's typically worn at almost all times. That's the tradition, to wear it day and night, with the exception of if someone's going to take a shower or something like that. And so I think this is very important for us to all do. I would really strongly encourage it. It's also an outward sign of Mary's mantle and her protection over us, and that the Blessed Virgin wants all Christians to come to Christ and embrace them as their mother. Embrace her as their mother. There's a story about some communists in the early 20th century, and they were all set to be executed. And there were 6 of them who decided to wear the scapular with devotion, and they ended up all going to confession. There was one gentleman that didn't wear it with devotion, and he didn't want to go to confession. And after he was shot in the firing squad, his scapular flew off, and it flew about 50 feet away. And the other gentlemen, their scapular stayed on them after they were shot. So we can see this interesting, miraculous story reflects that devotion is really an essential part of wearing the scapular. As I said, it's not some kind of magic. And so for one to wear the scapular, you can have it blessed and then start to wear it, or you can be enrolled, which I would recommend. And you're part of this confraternity of the brown scapular, the Carmelite confraternity. And then if you're enrolled, you don't need to have every new scapular blessed, that they eventually fall apart and you have to dispose of it as you dispose of other blessed objects. But then being enrolled in the scapular, any additional ones that you purchase, they don't have to be blessed. And so in conclusion, I would just encourage you to avail yourself of these different devotions given by Mary herself, and pray the Rosary daily and wear the scapular at all times, because there's great graces that can come with these if they're done with great devotion. May God bless you all.